Hi everyone, FinanceFeeds is here at the Forex Expo in Dubai, and I'm pleased to be joined by Alfonso Cardalda, who's Chief Marketing Officer at Exness. Alfonso, thanks for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you, guys.
I think you just wrapped up of a pretty important panel that you spoke on, where the discussion was focused on Forex Without Borders. What does Forex Without Borders really mean in practice to you?
I think that the direction of travel of this conversation is about how to continue expanding the category and penetrating better into the mind and the hearts of the traders, understanding the different challenges that you find on the different regions. Because we at Exness, we operate globally, but we localize our activities based on the needs of the consumers. And I think that this part of the consuming understanding, the research, the data-driven approach is the main element that it will help in order to unleash the full potential of any of the brokers that we are here today.
And I think you just touched upon the fact that, we're really speaking also about untapped markets, right? To me, when I think of untapped markets in our space, I think of LATAM, I think of Africa, right? There's a lot of potential, I think, there. And these are markets that I would say haven't been saturated yet, right? So we just don't see that much activity there. But when we look at finance economics, the way that the different countries in these regions are developing, it seems like at some point they will be ripe for financial trading, financial markets, things like this.
I think that you have mentioned two of the regions that in the near future will have a lot to say about trading and about fintech. Let's start with LATAM. LATAM is a fast-growing region where there is a lot of connection between the consumer and the understanding of the different financial systems. So the ecosystem is there. I think that what we are missing, and myself, that I was working for other industries in Latam, what we're missing is to continue. We're still scratching the surface. We need to educate or to show better how the product works, how to enter into the Forex world. The role of the IBs on these regions is extremely important, but I also think that it's an element of trust. It's an element of awareness that the brokers we need to do there. But if you look at the size of Latam, it's an absolutely monster.
Sure.
Going back into Africa, the same. A lot of countries in the continent that really are making the difference. And you can see the challenge there, it will be more connected to payment methods, how to develop the payment methods ecosystem to be sure that there is no friction for the consumer when
Sure.
they make deposit and they withdraw, because the product is already there, because the platform is global. But definitely I think that the areas of focus for the next 2-3 years, Latin America and Africa, for the industry should be an area to pay a lot of attention.
Yeah. And I wonder, you mentioned we were speaking about LATAM, Africa. There's obviously other markets where there's still certain barriers, right? And I wanted to ask, how does Exness approach kind of the psychological, the infrastructural, and the cultural barriers that traders face today? Because even in the regions that have already been, let's say, saturated or where this kind of trading is already popular, for example, certain regions in Asia, right? Asia is huge, right? I know that from, let's say, a infrastructural standpoint, connectivity and all of this stuff, when I speak to some of my other guests, there's still issues, right, that persist, and there's still these barriers. I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about how sort of Exness obviously acknowledges that these barriers exist, the psychological, infrastructural, and cultural. How do you help traders overcome it? Is it something like grassroots where you have to start not from telling someone, okay, here, go educate yourself and go trade? Maybe something like it has to be like, how you have to sow the roots or sow the seeds first for the roots to grow.
The answer is very simple. It's product.
Product.
Our obsession and Exness and the key of the success is that we are a product company.
Yeah.
We are a product-driven company. So any barrier that you're going to find to enter into a market, of course, there is an element of awareness and there is an element of like people they need to know about yourself, right?
Uh-huh.
But when you work on the product superiority, and Exness by itself has this superiority by the trading features that we have, the trading conditions that we have, the way that we approach the relationship. There is a triangle that is like the product, the consumer, and the communications. I always say that the core of the strategy for marketing at Exness is product marketing. We just need to say what we have. Finish the story. So one of the barriers, it will be to generate this awareness for this. But the product is the answer to all the questions.
Right.
So how you create this awareness? You create this awareness into different levels. The first one, definitely you need to generate the top of mind of the consumers. Sometimes the category is already there, it exists. So it's just about like bringing traders that they are doing other activities with other brokers to know Exness and the benefits of trading with Exness.
Sure.
If the category doesn't exist, you need to do an exercise of creating
Yes.
and building the category. You will do it in two levels, through direct marketing and awareness and communications from Exness, but also in parallel with the IVs. So you need to develop the market at the same time from an IV point of view and also from a final consumer point of view.
Absolutely, yeah.
If you put everything on the equation, the product, the stability of the platform, the trading conditions, the awareness of the communications from our marketing activities, the product marketing activities, plus the role of IV and affiliates, you have the cocktail, you have the key of the success, you have the formula of success.
The secret sauce, so to say.
Yes,
The secret sauce.
Is the Exness scenario, is the Exness ecosystem.
Sure.
Definition.
I wanted to ask if Forex truly becomes borderless, right? Because it's really what we're talking about here, seamless, borderless. What will success, what do you think success will look like in this sort of borderless world? Especially given things like, AI, machine learning, all of these different tools that, things are developing so fast and so rapidly that I could envision, I don't know, 10, 15 years. I don't know. I don't want to predict, but you know what I mean? Something where, like you said, it's the product where everything is so seamless that you just go to one place and you have everything.
So we're a bit of a different kind of animal, Exness, on our mindset. Okay, the way that we approach our philosophy is slightly different than the rest of the brokers. Doesn't mean that it's better or worse. It's just different. Okay, we are not focusing quantity. We are focusing on quality.
Of course.
So for me, what success means in the next 10 years is like, if you are a trader, if you are a professional trader, Exness is the only place for you to trade. There is not any other option.
One-stop shop.
Why? Because we are so obsessed to put the trader in the center of the proposition, to develop a product completely superior to any other offer in the market, that it will conquer that territory. And that's what we do. So for me, it's less about, we were talking, I'm not a big fan of these like big claims, scale claims, billions. For me, it's like, we go step by step. We're focusing all our efforts on quality. We're focusing all our efforts on product development. We're focused all our efforts on stability to be sure that the execution is the fastest in the industry, that the instant withdrawal is the most instant withdrawal element that any other competitor can have. A human element, because we are talking a lot about artificial intelligence, etc., etc. We, of course, we are a company extremely focused on innovation, but there is a balance, and that's why our brand is connected, is based in on the head, and the heart. The head is the mathematical exercise, the numbers, the P&L.
Yes.
The heart is about the emotions, and our heart is about the human element. When you talk to IBs, partners, or traders, they always say, we trade with Exness because we know that there is someone behind. When something happens, you guys are always there.
Right.
So success for me for the next years is based on quality of the product, quality of the consumers that we have, and also to continue empowering this human element to be much more connected with the psychological part of the trader.
Yes. I think you that's a great point that you mentioned, the human the humanity part of it and the personal and the heart, it needs to be there. Otherwise, it's just technology, it's just numbers and things like that. And I recently spoke to your colleague Igor Desatyov, right? And I think me and him had a separate discussion where, I said, well, what about AI? And he's like, I mean, maybe, but at the end of the day, there still has to be a human element.
Exactly.
Like you said,
So
there still has to be a human element to it. Without it, it's there's no soul.
there is no exactly. Well, Igor, in my opinion, is not because he's my colleague that he is,
Of course.
but Igor is one of the most bright minds in the industry. He's a person that is not only talking about how to develop the product, the pipeline of innovation, but also at the same time, it's like, okay, chatbot is good, it's a good tool to release a bit of pressure from an operational way, but we need to continue talking to the consumer.
Yes, of
right?
course.
And we're very connected on the way that we look at things, because we believe that this innovation has to be connected with this human side. And again, it's all about balance. Everything that we do at the Exness, and that's why when we develop the brand, we build this concept of the duality, of the balance, the head and the heart that we were talking before. But everything that we do has to have this balance. If you go too much into the tech side and you forget about the human side, it's not going to work. If you go too much into the human side and you forget the tech side, so I think that we are building a good ecosystem. The numbers, they speak by themselves, but for us, it's not about this scale. For us, it's about the quality.
Of course, yeah, of course. We mentioned something very important also, trust, right? I think we can both agree that trust is really the cornerstone of our industry, right? Of Forex industry. Looking forward into this borderless, let's say, world in the future, do you think that like licenses or local presence will contribute to increased trust from traders in those markets, or kind of what's your feeling on that?
Any single element that interact with the trader, it affects on the trust. It can be different elements from a regulatory point of view, from a product point of view, from a communication point of view. But at the end, the most important element for trust is to be sure that when a financial brand is completely different than other brands. Why? Because you are putting your money there. Your money that is the future of your family, the future of your business, is where you are going to get like an ROI out of your investment. So you need to feel extremely comfortable with that. So this trust, you make it with 3 or 4 different elements. But first, transparency. Transparency is extremely important. I think that a broker has to be extremely transparent on the way that operates and on the way that interacts with the consumer. And for me, it's one of my main values as an executive of Exness, right? Secondly, simplicity. I think that I always say that I feel a massive responsibility to bring simplicity into the category. I think that there is too much noise, there is too much complexity, when we need to remove all this noise and be simple.
You're right.
Then the other one is about the friction in terms of payment methods, right?
Yes.
You need to be sure that in parallel you develop like an environment where the consumer can access and withdraw the money almost on an instant way, without delays, without excuses. So I think that all these things are our responsibility to create this trust. And at Exness, I think that we do it well. And that's why every time I talk to I invest a lot of time understanding traders and understanding IBs. And sometimes it's impressive because the IBs, they give you like a vision of things that maybe you were not thinking about it, because they are very close to everything that's happening.
Because they're on the ground there, yeah.
And what I can tell you is like, these people, they trust us. And this is the most important element that we can have. And it's something that makes you feel extremely proud, at least myself, right?
Well, Alfonso, I know it's a busy day, but I wanted to thank you for taking the time to speak with us, and it's a pleasure to meet you. And we wish you and Exness success in the future. I'm sure you'll have it. And
Thank you very much.
It's always a pleasure to talk to someone from Exness. Thanks a lot.
Anytime. Thank you very much.